All right, let's return now to our top story. Jayanthi Natarajan, the former Environment Minister, has quit the Congress party with a scathing attack on the Vice President of the Congress, Rahul Gandhi, alleging that after instructing her to protect the environment, he publicly criticized the decisions before the election last year in an attempt to woo industry. The Congress has hit back with dirt on Jayanthi and has asked why, when she was minister, she would ask for files to be sent to Chennai and meet industrialists there. Well, joining us now to debate this, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, the Rajya Sabha MP of the Congress, GVL Narasimha Rao, spokesperson of the BJP, Jay Panda, Lok Sabha MP of the BJD, Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist with us. And as we mentioned, in about 8 minutes or so from now, we expect to be joined by Jayanthi Natarajan herself. Dr. Singhvi, let me just come to you first. Does the Congress party believe that Jayanthi Natarajan was corrupt?
Look, we have said that there were serious allegations and there was widespread belief at that time which led to a removal. In fact, the present dispensation had coined a specific word, not us, a Jayanthi tax. And as a political party, I think, had we not taken some action, we would be liable to blame, not because we took action. Action was taken, and we have said today from the podium that it was taken with the complete joint concurrence and discussion of both the Congress President and the Prime Minister.
So why wasn't she thrown out of the Congress party at that stage?
Doing it.
Why for a minute would the Congress party keep anybody on their rolls who was corrupt?
Because there is a vast difference between the word corrupt you use, between the fact that you say that there is legally provable charges, and information or allegations which may not be in the legal realm.
Okay, so
there's
you
a vast
believe
difference. The two are completely consistent.
Right.
And there is a vast difference also if you are divested of ministership and not giving party responsibility. It doesn't mean that you have to be expelled from the party.
You believe that the charges are very... You believe, Dr. Singhvi, that the charges against her are very serious? That these allegations that the BJP made of a Jayanthi tax were true?
We believe what has been now widespread information published here and there also over the last year, that there were situations, data, material which were totally incompatible with the continuance as a minister. And as a responsible political party, action was taken.
Okay.
Far from actually objecting to it, everybody else should be saying that had you not taken action, it would be irresponsible.
Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, does the BJP believe, now that you've been in power for so long, that there is credible information to suggest that Jayanthi Natarajan was corrupt? Or do you believe that what she had to say against Rahul Gandhi is perhaps the more correct issue over here, that he was forcing decisions on the Environment Ministry?
I think the Congress party is now trying to invent new excuses.
But you
the
reality
reality
the term
is that she was not, yeah, that's right. No, now it turns out it was not a Jayanthi tax.
Oh, really?
It was possibly a Rahul Gandhi tax. So there was a Congress tax that was being levied on corporates.
Was this political rhetoric?
So, Mr.
No, the Congress party itself is coming out today and accepting it. In fact, they are alleging today, their own, all their leaders are today alleging that they have removed her, which is not the case actually.
No, but
they say they have removed her because there were specific charges of bribery.
Abhishek Manu Singhvi says that there was a Jayanthi tax, which is what the BJP had alleged earlier on, and now the BJP, which had coined the phrase Jayanthi tax, says in fact that there was no Jayanthi tax.
No, I think, don't get me wrong. I think I have made it very clear. In fact, it was publicly, widely known that there was pervasive corruption in the Ministry of Environment, where without greasing of palms, without bribes being paid, astronomical sums being paid, clearances were not being given.
Okay.
This was public knowledge.
Okay.
And since she was the minister, she was the face, she was certainly the target of the attack. Now she is coming out publicly stating that she did all this at the behest, at the instructions of her party leader. And she says in her letter, there is a clear indictment of the entire Congress party.
Vishnu,
there is an indictment of the Congress party throughout Vishnu, her letter. No, let me finish first, Mr. Singhvi.
Dr. Singhvi, I'm coming to you in 1 minute.
And then you can come in.
Yeah.
Please let me finish.
Yeah.
I think
Yes,
Vishnu,
certainly,
in her letter
certainly,
throughout, she says, I have followed the party directive. Mrs. Sonia, she tells Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, you have advised me, you have instructed me on several cases. I followed it. Rahul Gandhi has asked me to take several decisions. I have done it. And she says, I have followed the party policy. Why was I crucified? The real question is, how can there be a party line on environmental decisions? Was the government being run by policy, or was it being run by a party policy?
Okay, Dr. Singhvi, you want to reply to that before I go to Jay Panda?
Now, three or four points are important. First of all, I think if either Mr. Rao or Ms. Jayanthi Natarajan thinks that to implement the Congress manifesto, the Congress philosophy, the UPA program, which included tribal rights, forest rights and environmental degradation prevention as the highest priorities, is not the job of every minister, I think they have some very weird notion of running a government. Number two, nowhere in the letter has she suggested that she has been asked to do or has done.
No, sir, that's where I disagree. Let me quote from the letter.
One second.
I can read out 5 paragraphs.
So I will read, Dr. Singhvi,
I can read 5 paragraphs.
Let me quote from the letter.
Let me complete. After I complete,
there are 5 paragraphs in which she writes about this.
On the contrary, today's press conference, she said, and I quote unquote, that the instructions I received from Rahul Gandhi's office were for tribal rights, forest rights and environmental degradation to be prevented. That's quote unquote.
Yes.
Number 3, Mr. Rahul Gandhi spoke in Niyamgiri well before she became a minister and said that this is part of our philosophy. He said, you have a votary and a supporter in Delhi. Now, this is an open proclaimed policy of the government, of the Congress,
no, but the point
of the manifesto,
but sir,
of the UPA.
No, Mr. Singhvi, there cannot be a party line.
Congress worker, much less
Dr. Singhvi, you made the point that Rahul Gandhi didn't involve himself in the decisions taken by the minister. On this program, you've just said that a few minutes back, but we can read out parts of this letter where she claims that that is exactly what is done.
On the contrary, I said
no. In the letter, she says it's a party policy. I have followed party's directives.
The manifesto, 1 minute, which acts contrary to the manifesto of the party in power, it is never heard of. Of course, that manifesto has to be for legal things, for public interest.
I want to bring in Jay Panda at this stage, who's been listening very patiently. This cannot just be a Congress versus BJP issue. The bottom line over here is that Jayanthi Natarajan took a decision, apparently at the behest of Rahul Gandhi, to ensure that Vedanta did not get the mining rights that they sought at that time. It was a decision which, as she correctly points out, was endorsed by the Supreme Court. But the larger issue over here is that political interests were pushing a particular cause. Is that the larger concern over here, Jay Panda? A decision was being taken by a politician, a party leader, on a minister.
I must tell you that I have been very saddened to hear about these disclosures today, very disappointed at the manner in which the previous government was allegedly being run. And should these disclosures turn out to be true, should they end up being confirmed, it makes me very angry, because clearly if these allegations are true, if these disclosures are true, then states like Odisha have been harmed very grievously. It's one thing, and of course we are all very clear that the laws must be implemented thoroughly and that the environment cannot be endangered for the needs of development. But if these decisions were taken for political considerations rather than on merit, then it is not something that any of us can take lying down. It's states like Odisha would clearly have been harmed very badly if these allegations are true.
But how have states, been harmed badly in the Vedanta decision if the Supreme Court has actually upheld that decision to protect the Dongria Kond tribals in that area?
I'm not here speaking specifically about the Vedanta case, but that has been mentioned in apparently these letters. But my point is this: we are aware of many cases in Odisha which have been held up. Now, you are obviously picking on the most prominent one, and I don't want to go into the merits of that if the Supreme Court has already ruled on that. But there are many small, medium and other large cases which have been held up. And my disappointment and my revulsion at these disclosures have to do with the process at which the government was allegedly running. And this needs clarity. This should not be just treated as a tutu meme, he says, she says. This needs to be clarified, because if this is true, then there are very serious repercussions that the country faces as a whole. And
have you heard, or do you believe that that things could get cleared in the Environment Ministry in the last regime only if money was paid? Is that what you're alluding to?
No, I have no specific knowledge about that, but all of us have heard about the rhetoric which the parties have flung at each other. But this is not a new thing. Such allegations have been made about areas where a lot of discretionary authority is there, and that is a parallel issue. That's not the only issue. I think the bigger issue is, if a cabinet minister who was sworn to the constitution to uphold her duties was in fact not doing that, but was being remote controlled by other considerations, with political considerations involved, then I think that is seriously wrong.
Nija, let's just look at this attack, as it were, against Rahul Gandhi himself. This is very serious allegations over here. Do you see this as being a one-off, or do you see this as being a larger issue? And the reason I ask that is because Jayanthi Natarajan says she had not leaked this letter to the Hindu. And the inference, therefore, is that there could be people within the Congress party who are leaking this letter in a bid to discredit Rahul Gandhi.
The Rahul Gandhi giving instructions to ministers directly to do ABCD is one part of the story. To me, what is coming across from this disclosure today is that somebody like Jayanthi Natarajan, with 30 years of Congress backing, with the family, as she herself says, an illustrious Congress family, her grandfather being the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, M. Bhaktavatslam, picked by Rajiv Gandhi in 1984 to come into politics, supported and promoted by Sonia Gandhi. If someone like her feels there is no other way but to quit the Congress, then that, and she herself says Motilal Vora called her up and G.K. Vasan formed the party, and she indicated no way was she going to leave the party. That means senior leaders like her today feel there is no future for them. That is one part of the story. Second part of the story is it tells you something about the functioning of the Congress party. If the Congress president and the vice president cannot see somebody for 1 year who's asking for a meeting, as she herself says, even if I was a murderer, gets a hearing. What kind of functioning does it tell you? That is the worrying part to me. And this thing that Mr. Singhvi is talking about, there were allegations. Well, if there were serious allegations, a minister should have been called and said, this is the allegation against you, what do you have to say?